Alright, today's lesson we're going to work on using a revolved feature with a closed sketch. So we're going to make a round part, basically a lathe part. So to get this started, we're going to go up to this file icon, click on it, we're going to add a new part, and then say OK. So, a couple of things I noticed working with the guys was this particular Solidworks is not set up for 3 decimals yet. You can set that as a global template. I can make a video on how that works in the future. But for right now, I'm going to show you how to change this part file, the document settings, in order to make all of your dimensions 3 decimal places instead of 2. So what you're going to do is come over to the left hand side here and right click on this white area, and you're going to go to document properties. Now these changes are for this document only, or this file, or this part file. In later videos I can show you how to set up the global settings so that you wouldn't even have to do this every time you open up a new part. So I'm going to click on document properties. I'm going to left click on it, and it pulls up this dialog box which has a bunch of different settings in here and different things we can do. But what we're focused in is on the dimensions. So I want to come down to dimensions and then left click on it. This gives us all kinds of different standards for this particular document. You can see we got text, dual dimensions. Here's the one we are looking for, this primary precision. As you can see, it's defaulted in 0.12, and I want to change that to 0.123 for 3 decimals. As you can see, we can change the arrow sizes, things like this. But I'm not worried about that. The one thing I was worried about is that we set it up for 3 decimal points. Because in machining, most of our numbers are in 3 decimal places and sometimes 4. So I'm going to go ahead with OK. Now this is going to change the whole part file or document properties, so it defaults to 3 decimal points. OK. Now I'm ready to start my revolved feature. So I'm going to pick the right plane, and then I'm going to, that's left click on it, and then I'm going to see that it says normal 2. See how the plane looks diagonal because it's in an isometric view right now? When I hit this plane with an arrow on it, this icon, I left click on that and it'll pull that plane up to my eye view, and it'll put it perpendicular to my eyes, just like that. So in this case, I'm going to start off with a line. I'm going to come down here and snap it and lock it to the center of SolidWorks. I'm going to draw the center line of the part. And then I'm going to, it's still got a line. If I don't want that line, I would double click at this point or hit escape. But I still want this dragged line. So I'm going to go up here. Then I'm going to go across here. That's my first diameter. Then I'm going to go up to another shoulder. I'm going to put a snap ring groove in here. Like, see how these lines are like, if you see the yellow vertical line, that means this line is going to have a constraint of being vertical / relation. This one has a horizontal. The yellow is horizontal line. Then I'm going to go back up to here, and that's a vertical line, and that's kind of what my snap ring will do. Make another diameter. then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to go over. See how that dotted line hits the end of that line, or the center point? That's where I'm going to click, because it's going to be coincidental to the center point. And then I'll drag it down here. Notice how this area now is shaded. Let me go back and show you. This is what we're looking for. This area has to be this shaded color. Reason being is if it doesn't, it could be more than likely an open box. It's not completely chained all the way around. And I'll demonstrate that by erasing. I'm going to push the escape key so I get out of my line sketch mode. I'm going to take this line and delete it. And I'm going to draw another line. I'm going to go up here to the line, click on the line tool, and I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to see how it gets coincidental to the endpoint, that little round yellow circle. I click left click to lock it in there. Now this time I'm going to just go like midway. I'm going to double click to exit the line sketch. Now I'm making no more lines. As you can see, this center area is not shaded like it was before. So that means it's not completely chained all the way around. So we got to get it so that it's chained all the way around. There's a couple of ways we can do this. The most easiest and efficient way is just to grab the end of the line and drag it down to the center. Okay? See how it went shaded again? Okay. So we got somewhat of our sketch built. I want to explain a couple of things here. Why is this line here black and this line down here black? When they're black, that means they're fully defined. This has two things on it that defines it. First of all, I locked it to the center point of Solidworks, which does not move. So that's like a fixed endpoint. And then I also made a relation constraint of being horizontal. Those two things will lock this line in. Now it still has, it can be longer or shorter, but it can't move, oops, it can't move up and down. It can't be diagonal. So that line is now fully defined. And the exact same thing with this line. It is locked into the center point down here, coincidental to the center point of Solidworks. And it has a green vertical constraint / relation. With that, that makes this line, it cannot go left or right. I can't drag it left or right, but I can take the endpoint and go up and down with it on that same line. Now if we did something similar to that, I'm going to demonstrate how these two could not be black lines but still look like the same. I'm going to delete, I highlight the line and then I press the delete key on the keyboard. I'm also going to highlight this one and then use the delete key. I'll show you another method instead of the keyboard. You can right click and then you can also say delete right here in the dialog box. I'm going to redraw those lines. Pull this out a little. I'm going to pull this down a little. And I'm going to recreate a vertical line here and a horizontal line here. So we are going to have the same part. Line it up with that one. Now it's shaded. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to use the exit key on the keyboard to exit out of the line properties. As you can see, these lines are no longer black. This one here and this one here. And that's because I can still move this line up or down, and I can make it longer and shorter. Same with this. I can take this line and make it longer, and I can move left and right. I like to be fully defined with my sketches whenever I can be, whether it's using dimensions, whether it's using constraints, relations. So what happened here? The difference is this point is not coincidental to the Solidworks center point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to add the relation. So I'm going to go up here to display/delete relations. I'm going to left click on the drop down box, and I'm going to add relation or constraint. I use those interchangeably. Add. Now it's already got a point picked up. Normally I'm going to right click in this box. I'm going to clear the selections. That means there's no entity, vertex, or anything like that that has been picked, so I haven't told it anything to add a relationship to. So I can go down here. I'm going to pick up the fixed center point of SolidWorks, that dot. As you can see, it says point at origin. So that point and this point, point number 16 by what it says in the box, and I'm going to make those coincidental, which means it's going to take this dot, since this is a fixed point, can't be moved, it's going to force this point right over the top of this point. And that's what is called coincidental. And when I do that, since I locked that point to the SolidWorks origin that is not movable or fixed, that makes these two lines black because they are now fixed. They cannot be moved. Like this one can't be moved up or down. This one can't be moved in or out. So I'm going to say OK with my mouse, left click. I will show you another way also that can be done. Sometimes you turn your snaps on and off depending on what you're doing, but in most cases snaps being on are good. Let's say I don't want this relation anymore. I can just right click on it. Oh, excuse me. Go up to it, see that it changed from green to orange, then right click on it, and I can delete that relation. As you notice, the lines went back to blue. Okay, so I'm going to drop this one down since I can move it that way, and I can move it this way. Another way to make that relation is just highlight this button, left click, hold down the button, drag that corner right over the top of that spot, and see how it turned yellow? You have a vertical and a horizontal white box. As soon as I get over it, it goes to a yellow coincidental icon. If I let go of the mouse now, that ties in that constraint. And here you can see it says coincidental number 4. So there's another way that you can just use a snap slash, smart relation. Okay, so there's kind of our part. I'm going to rebuild. And we got to remember that there's always 2 or 3 ways. There's hotkeys, there's right mouse clicks, there's different toolbars. There's a lot of different ways you can set the way you do things. But after a few times, it's all kind of the same stuff. It's all up to you. So there's our sketch. Now we're going to make a feature. I'm going to do a revolved. I'll slow that down. We were in sketch. So I'm going to take my mouse up to the top toolbar here, and we're going to use features, and it's going to be revolved, boss, or base. I'm going to click that. It's asking me for a plain sketch cross section. I'm just going to go over here and left click on my sketch. That's not right. I picked the wrong line. I picked that vertical line, not the horizontal line. So it revolved it around in this direction. As you can see up here in the dialog box, it says axis of revolution. Well, that's that it's spinning around, line 15 on sketch 1. I'm going to go ahead and left click it to highlight it, then right click it, and then I'm going to left click clear selection because I picked the wrong line. So now scroll out. I want to pick up this line to revolve around. So I go ahead and pick that up. Now my preview looks like the part I want. And I can do some adjustments here. I can do only 180 degrees instead of 360, which now you got a half a part, or 45 degrees, so we can, control the amount of revolve boss I want. Let's say OK to that. I'm mousing over to the check mark over here on the left hand side. I'm hitting OK. And now I got a little sliver of that cross section. 45 degrees, I believe. Now, one thing to be considered of is a feature in the feature tree here. It says revolved. That's the feature we made. But you have a little arrow key to the left of it that if you click on it, this feature is built off of this sketch number 1, that we've created before. That's how we build solid models, is out of sketches, then to a feature. So if I want to change the sketch, I could hover over sketch 1, right click, and then up in the left corner here it says edit sketch. I can click this icon and it'll go directly to the sketch mode like we were before. But now it's not normal to me, so now I'm going to come down on top of sketch 1 again and then just right click on it, and I'm going to scroll up here to the normal 2 icon, and I'm going to left click on that and pull that perpendicular to my eyesight. As you can see, now we can modify our sketch that way. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild, go up to the stoplight up here, and again we still got, I want 360 degrees because I'm making a round part for the lathe. So I'm going to go over to the left pane again, hover over the revolve 1, right click on it, and edit feature, this little icon right up here. Left click on it, and that opens the dialog to build that feature where we were before. So I'm going to change this from 45 degrees to 360 degrees, and I'm doing that by typing on the numeric pad or the keypad the numbers to enter that 360 degrees in a circle. Again, I'm going to go up here to the check box and say OK, and it makes my whole part round again. That's how you build a revolved boss. I will come back later with another video on this part to show you how to dimension it in the sketch mode, and we'll put some fillets on, and maybe we'll build a whole part here, and I'll make a series of how to do this from scratch. Thank you for now. Oh, before we leave, let's always make sure we save regularly. So I go to the top toolbar up to this disk up here, and I say save, left click on it, and I will call it Revolved Base. And I will save that. You should periodically save your part every 10-15 minutes so that if you got a computer crash or something like that, then you won't lose all your work that you've been working on. Just remember that. Keep that in mind. Always save. And if you go up to the, I'm mousing up to the disk again. If you see there, anytime it says like save and then parentheses Control and S, Control and S, or Control plus S, that's what it's actually, is what's called a hotkey. Hotkeys are used for people that use a lot of, keyboard / mouse. Makes you more efficient. Not too concerned, that everybody uses that stuff. But in this case, if I was working and I wanted to save it and I just thought about it, instead of me going up to the disk up here and right-clicking on it, I can be anywheres here, and then on my keyboard, I click Control, hold the Control key down, and then push the S button, and then it would save it automatically. So let's just try this. I'm going to make a change to the part. I'm going to just bring this up. I'm going to say OK, rebuild. I'm going up to the stoplight up here. And again, you see the Control plus B would do the same thing. So instead of me clicking on it, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do Control B. And it rebuilds just by pushing Control down first, holding it down, and then hitting the button B. So now we made a change. I got to save it. And sometimes, I'll show that to you in just a second too. So I'm going to hit Control, hold it down, and hit the Save button, or the S button. See how that little blue dot came up? That said it saved it. If I do it again, there's no changes, that still comes up. But my point being is you can use Control S to save it periodically instead of going up to the disk up here on the top tool menu. Now let's go ahead and make another change, because I want to show you that I'm going to edit sketch again. I'm going to hover over. I'm going to do normal 2. This time I'm going to change this, and then I'm going to go to the check mark and say OK. I'm checking something out here. So again, I can just hit Control B to rebuild. Now most of the time, if I go to close out, I made a change, I did not save yet, but in this instance I go to close out and I forget to save it, it'll ask me, do you want to save the modifications or don't save? And then it'll close out the window. The reason, that's fine to do that, it tries to save, you from not saving it before you close it out. The biggest problem about saving is, you want to do that in case the machine crashes or the power shuts out, battery goes dead, somebody hits it with a baseball bat. You definitely want to save periodically. So I'm going to cancel this, and then I'll show you, again, I did not save it. I'm going to go to close out, I'm done for the day, and it knows, okay, I want to save all, and now it saves and closes that part out. I'll be back more with dimensioning that part on another video. Thank you for watching.